Welcome to the UnPacked Podcast, where we're unpacking the realities in today's public schools. I am Micki O'Neil. I'm your host today. And with me, I have Michel McDonald. Michael, could you introduce yourself to our listeners, please?
So, Michel McDonald, Director of Transition Programming here at Ingham ISD. And I work with students that are 18 to 26 that are in a program that is post-high school. And they're kids that did not get diplomas and have maybe gotten a certificate of completion from their schools and come over to us.
Okay. Well, can you talk a little bit about the continuum of transition programming for our students with disabilities and how that kind of works, what that looks like for our listeners?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of variances within that. Some of the kids start in transition programming at their local high schools, and then they'll come over to us either to SAIL or to Project Surge, depending on where they're needed or what their needs are. Some of the kids are down in our center-based programming at Hartwood or Peakman, and they end up coming over to us in our transition programs at SAIL after a certain amount of time. It really is individualized. It really is depending on student needs and where they're at in their transition learning. Students can be with us till they're 26. So, it really isn't a race. Oftentimes they get to us when they're 18.
Yeah.
And we just try to find the right place along the line where, earlier needs, maybe they're not ready to go out in the community. Maybe they're not ready to do some of the more individualized work yet at the center-based programs. So they're there till they're 22, 23, and they kind of get a taste for it. And then they come to us. Some come way earlier. And then we have kids of the locals that come to us at 18.
Okay.
And maybe stay with us for a year or two, or maybe they stay till they're 26.
Okay. Well, that's quite a variety of different options for kids based on where they are in their learning.
Yeah.
So that's great.
And it's very individualized. We take the family's needs into account and the students' needs into account, and we really kind of try to make it, tailored for each student.
So I think maybe a lot of our listeners might not know that in the state of Michigan, we actually provide public education through age 26.
Yep.
You mentioned you support 18 to 26 in this in transition programs, but that's probably a new piece of information. But could you talk a little bit about SAIL, the SAILS program specifically, Skills for Adult Independent Living, and what our students learn in that program, the independent living skills and maybe some work-based learning?
Yeah. So they have specific transition goals that they work on. Some of it is community experiences. Some of it is working. Some of it is training. Some of it is, life skills that they'd be working at home. A big push in SAIL is to get kids out in the community working.
Okay.
And it's unpaid work. It's volunteer work. We call them training sites more than actual work sites. So, So they're going out into, we've got, 30 different work sites that we use through all our programs. And different sites have different things they work on, but also certain students have desires to, like if we're at the animal shelter and somebody likes animals and thinks that they want that. And we take them there and they get to clean up the messes from the animals, and they realize maybe I don't want to work with animals so much. So there's a lot of opportunities for them to get out there and just kind of see that. Also, we get out in community experiences. We have students that, go to Meijer, buy groceries. They bring the groceries back. They learn how to cook. They learn how to, take care of the kitchen after they're done and clean up. And, we're doing laundry. We have 5 different SAIL sites, 2 here in Mason, 2 in Lansing, and 1 out at Waverly High School. And each program functions a little bit differently.
Okay.
So
what's the classroom look like in those spots? Like, do they have, you said, a washer and dryer and like a kitchen, so they're able to?
It really depends. Like in Waverly and in Mason, they have washer and dryer and a kitchen and the whole thing.
Okay.
In Lansing, it's at the Foster Community Center. A lot of our students that are in those programs, we're real thoughtful about this, are kids that maybe live in apartments and live on their own. We don't have a washer and dryer there. They go to the laundromat.
Okay. That's a good experience as well. Yeah.
And learn how to do laundry at the laundromat. They learn how to take public transportation. although Michigan Avenue has been tricky to drive up and down.
I bet.
We haven't been using CATA as much, that the number one bus up and down Michigan Avenue. But yeah, so it really is tailored to the students and what they're looking for, and what their community looks like and what their living experiences look like. So we have students that live in group homes. We have students that live with families. So they all have different kind of needs that we have to kind of think about.
Okay. Well, can you talk a little bit too about, what kids expect to learn, or families can expect for kids the experiences they take away from, being in SAIL?
So a big part of it is independence. So really going through probably the K-12 system, that it was more focused on content and curriculum and being with their peers and being with their gen ed peers and all that kind of stuff. Once they get to the transition program, they don't have gen ed peers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We focus on the things that they need. And one of the biggest ones is independence. We have students that come to us who are very independent because that's what the family needs them to be.
Right.
And we have students that aren't. One of my favorite things that happens is with some of our lesser independent kids is they'll be doing stuff here, and then we'll tell the parents they're doing X, Y, Z. They're like, they don't know how to do that. I'm like, no. They do it here. They're like, well, they don't do it at home. I said, well, they're conning you. Just like any other teenager or 20-year-old, right? They go home and they're like, I don't know how to do dishes. I don't know how to do laundry. You need to do that for me, Mom. We're like, no, they do it every day at school. They know how to do it. So, yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah. So it happens all the time. Yeah. It's hilarious. And then the parents are like, oh, so I can have them do this at home? Yeah, absolutely. So it does create that more independence for them. So,
well, that's great. That's great. So what makes you most proud of the work that's happening in these transition programs?
So in the 4 years I've been here, we have doubled in size. So that's very cool. We've been able to, work with a lot more students and give a lot more experiences and a lot more opportunities, because the bigger you get, the more you're just able to offer things.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. Our team has grown as well because we've doubled in size. And the thing I really like is how much our team really works like a team, functions for the kids. It's always kids first.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another thing too. So they're 18 to 26-year-olds. So it's a young adult program. The kids get mad at me because I call them kids. They're saying, no, we're young adults.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm 54. One of the perks of being 54 is I get to call 20-year-olds kids. So they think that's funny. But so yeah, if I know that's not always the correct term. I should be saying young adults, but to me, they're kids. So Diane, I'm trying to think if I answered that question.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You did.
All right.
So I would just say, you talked about the doubling in size. You talked about your staff doubling. There's one thing we didn't really touch on, and as students are going to job sites or community, how do they get there? What's the transportation look like? I think people might not really understand what that takes to support students.
So we do multiple different things. So we do deemed transportation. It's the most reliable.
Okay.
But we also work on CATA,
mm-hmm.
Rural CATA or SpecTran or all these other things. We focus on, hey, we're going to take this to go to Meyer.
And teaching them how to use the public transportation. Great.
SpecTran is a thing. Once you get signed up, you're signed up for life. Once they know that you are a student with a disability, you will be able to take that with you through the rest of your life and be able to use SpecTran for moving forward. So those little things are things that are helpful for the families that they can, take with them going forward.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. So I would love to have you back and talk about another topic later, but thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and thank you to the listeners for helping us unpack the realities in today's public schools.